In this video tutorial you will learn how to set up several setting groups in the IED of ED2 series. Before working with the configuration, we recommend you to watch the video tutorial opening and saving of configuration file. To set up setting groups, move to the Configurator section System Parameters. Settings Groups tab. Setting groups are used to quickly change IED settings and parameters, for example, in case of changes in operation modes of the power facility. Settings for such groups as diagram logic elements, calculated values, measuring elements and functions, binary outputs matrix, and LEDs matrix can be set up separately. Data transmission and other parameters are common for all setting groups. Switching between setting groups is possible. Using a CAM switch connected to the IED binary inputs, if the IED is installed in the cabinet. Or using programmable push buttons, or so-called electronic switches, on the IED front panel. Depending on the IED design type, the maximum quantity of electronic switches and thus, quantity of setting groups, is up to 20. When using electronic switches, the remote switching of setting groups is available via Smart Monitor software, which is part of ЭКRА SMSSP software package, or over MMS protocol according to IEC 61850. More information on remote switching between setting groups is given in the video tutorial on operation with ED2 devices telecontrol. See information on the active setting group at the bottom of IED display. In the menu Actual Values, Settings Groups, and also on the toolbar of Smart Monitor program. Additionally, the information on the active setting group can be output to LEDs on the IED front panel. The settings group count allows changing the actual quantity of setting groups to the required, by selecting the value from the drop-down list. Depending on the selected switch source of setting groups, it is possible to use up to 100 individual groups. When adding groups, the setting values of the new groups will be the same as the first group values. Switch source can be changed in the parameter with the same name. When selecting the electronic keys or remote control as the switching sources, it is necessary to select the relevant electronic switches in the activating signal field. Or leave no value if the switching is made only via the upper SAS level. In addition, unauthorized switching of setting groups can be excluded by using the Request a Password function. If the function is active, when switching the setting groups, the system will ask for a user password with the relevant rights. If logic signal is selected as the switch source, then select the relevant logic signals in the activating signal field. For example, there can be binary inputs. If logic signals decoder is selected as the switch source, then in comparison with the previous switching source, the less quantity of signals can be used, while the maximum quantity of setting groups is 8. Depending on the selected quantity of setting groups, it is necessary to select from 1 to 3 logic signals in the decoder signal field. Combination of inputs for activation of setting groups is set by default and cannot be edited. For example, switching to the third setting group requires logic signal on the second decoder input, while switching to the sixth setting group requires simultaneously 2 logic signals on the first and third decoder inputs. The default settings group parameter is used for selection of setting group at the first start after software or IED configuration update. If logic signal or logic signals decoder are used as setting group switch source, after software or IED configuration update the setting group will be set according to the actual state of these logic signals at the IED input. If there are no logic signals, the setting group from the default settings group field will be set. If electronic keys or remote control is a source, then after update, the setting group specified in the default settings group field will apply. The parameter can be changed by selection of the required group of settings in the drop-down list. When it is necessary, the names of the setting groups can be edited. They will be shown in the relevant element on the logic diagram. If setting groups do not differ much from each other, then for user convenience there is a function setting copying parameters. This function allows copying the settings to other groups after specifying them for one group. To do this, select the group, which values will be copied in the group, to which they will be copied, then select the parameter section by checking the appropriate ones, then press the copy button. Only the checked section setting values will be copied. If the binary outputs matrix and LEDs matrix are common for all groups boxes checked, it means that the binary outputs and LEDs matrix will be the same for all setting groups. If this box is unchecked, then binary outputs matrix and LEDs matrix sections will show additional tabs in accordance with the quantity of setting groups, which can be configured individually. By default, setting values for all setting groups are set as common, fields with settings are white. To make the setting individual, right-click on the required setting and in the pop-up window confirm the transition of setting. The setting field will become orange. It means that these setting values can be set individually for each setting group. After setting the value, the field becomes violet. It means that the setting is specified, but not yet saved in the configuration. After pressing the Save button, the setting field will become orange once again. To make the setting common for all groups, right-click on the required setting and from the drop-down list select the setting value that will be applied to all groups. This can be useful in the following cases. When due to the function algorithm, specifying of different values in groups can lead to the errors in the operation of this algorithm. And for convenience and to speed up the specifying of settings, when it is known that the values of these settings should be similar for all setting groups. After configuration editing, save it in the File menu, or by pressing the Save button on the toolbar. This video tutorial is over. We hope it proved itself useful to you. Thank you for attention.